ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Vice President J.D. Vance arrived at the White House earlier for policy meetings. He's expected to travel to Pakistan for the next round of talks between the U.S. and Iran, but so far Iran has not committed publicly. And the temporary ceasefire ends tomorrow. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
For now, there is no talk scheduled at this point. The vice president remains here, and it would take him about 18 to 20 hours to get to Islamabad. And so it will be a lot of leeway before we know whether or not, one, he's going, and we'll have a lot of time to know what will happen once he gets there while he's traveling en route to Pakistan.
Democratic Sheila Cherfilis McCormick resigned from her House seat today. The Florida Democrat denies allegations she stole $5 billion in FEMA disaster funds, but still faces a federal trial. An ethics hearing was set for today that could have led to a vote to expel her from Congress. And the big chill is back in the upper plains and northeast, with temperatures dipping below freezing after last week's heat wave. This is ABC News. The new owner of the conspiracy theory website InfoWars is speaking out after the latest takeover bid.
Back in 2022, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones filed for bankruptcy in the wake of a slew of defamation rulings that put his companies on the hook for more than $1 billion. Now, his company InfoWars is being acquired by the satirical news site The Onion. Onion chief executive Ben Collins says the eventual goal is to sell the assets and give the proceeds to families of Sandy Hook victims, who were often a target of Jones.
It's awful what he did, and he has, to this day, not paid a cent to these families.
Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
The British royal family celebrating what would have been Queen Elizabeth II's 100th birthday today. They're also dealing with the fallout of the former Prince Andrew's alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Queen Elizabeth died September 2022 after 70 years on the throne. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
From Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Family Realty Newsroom, this is KNOX News.
Today, lots of sun, high of 70. Tonight, mostly clear, low 47. Your full KNOX 5-day forecast follows the news. Good afternoon. Here are your latest stories. The Point Bridge linking Grand Forks and East Grand Forks is slated for a facelift this upcoming summer. The Grand Forks Council last night approved a cost participation and maintenance plan for the $2.26 million project. Under the agreement, 80% of the funding comes from federal sources, while the remaining bill is split between the two cities. It's never been more expensive for Americans to buy a steak or hamburger, but cutting those costs requires ranchers to raise more cattle, and that's not an easy task. The average price for all U.S. uncooked beef is up 48% for March 2021. The U.S. cattle herd reached a high of 132 million head in 1975. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, that figure has gradually fallen to 86 million. Even if ranchers opt to raise more cattle, it takes 15 to 24 months for a calf to mature before slaughter. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is launching his next political move. Walz announced the creation of the Small Town PAC, a federal political action committee designed to recruit and support Democrats in rural neighborhoods across the country. More news anytime on KNOXradio.com. I'm Jake Judd, KNOX News.
Thank you, Jake. Our next update from the KNOX newsroom will be at 3:02. News at the top, the bottom, and when it breaks on News Radio 1310, KNOX 103.3, 107.9, and on the KNOX app. Boy, it's a nice day today outside, isn't it? It's like 64 degrees. Lots of sun today, a mild high of 70 degrees, variable winds to 12. Tonight, mostly clear skies, a low of 47. South winds to 18 miles an hour. And Wednesday, Mark Ewens actually says we're going to have filtered sun. I'm still trying to figure out what filtered sun actually means. Like, is that a smoky sky? Is that a hazy sky? I mean, or is it that you just have, like blurry vision? I don't know. But it's going to be a breezy high of 82 degrees. It's going to feel like summer tomorrow. It'll be great. Thursday, a few storms in the area, a windy high of 73. And on Friday, the temperature drop a little bit, partly sunny with a high of 49, which, by the way, is up from a high of 44. Yesterday, it was going to be like a high of 44. Today, it's a high of 49. So we're moving in the right direction. Saturday, there's a shower with a high of 51. But there are some possibilities for strong storms there on Thursday. Mark Ewens forecast throughout the day and severe weather information brought to you by Steamatic. Trust your certified water Damage cleanup experts available 24 hours a day for all of your emergency needs. Steamatic, the crew in blue, is here for you. Call Steamatic today at 746-1856. That's 746-1856. Good afternoon. This is Aaron McWilliams. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. In the studio with me, we've got our Rydell talk. We've got Braden and Josh. Josh came back. I didn't scare Josh off last week. He came back for more. Yep. Can you believe it, Josh? I'm shocked, honestly. Usually people come to the studio with me and you're like, I am never doing that again with that guy. That's crazy.
It's usually the other way for me. So,
I'm just not as cool as you. One of these days, Josh, I will be as cool as you. And, I don't even know Braden yet. Braden, you said that you're here from the Quick Lube department. Is that right?
Yep. The Chevrolet Quick Lube department, as we call PDQ.
PDQ. How long have you been there?
I've been there been with the company for about 6 years. Started there as a part-time lube tech.
Okay.
Worked there for about 3.5 years. Went to school, dropped out, decided to come back. Took it a little more serious, and now I am the PDQ manager. So did a miscellaneous jobs around there, but now I'm the PDQ manager, so
cool.
A long way, I guess. So.
Hey, there you go. Hey, look, you're working your way up the chain. In a couple of years, you'll probably own the whole place. That'll be great. I mean, and then Josh is going to end up working for you. That's going to be the way it is.
About that.
That's the way it is. I mean, it's always those guys in the back. You're like, it's all right. I'm coming back for more.
You always train your replacement.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Absolutely. That's why my wife is running the sawmill right now. But you know what? She does a darn good job, too, though.
Yeah.
So right before I left, I had this big, giant pile of beams, and I said, all right, I need you and Tony to kind of sort through these and make a nice stack. And she looks at me, and she looks at her arm, and she looks at mine, and she says, I think I can do it. Okay. So... so speaking of lube and speaking of moving things, so what kind of, do y'all move like the tires? Do y'all rotate the tires?
Yep.
And
so we
what other things do y'all do in the lube center?
We do basic maintenance, engine air filters, cabin air filters, wiper blades, rotating tires, vehicle inspection, just a general inspection, checking brake pad thickness.
Do y'all change brake pads over there?
Nope, we get that over to our service department where Josh works, so... Him or another guy, usually not him, but they take care of that there. We just point our finger when we see an issue and get it over to them.
Okay. And so, Josh, you just yank the entire thing off and you're like, what do you do?
I used to. Now I don't do much. I just look at them.
Is that what other people say too?
Oh, yeah. You just ask them. Yeah.
I was...
No, they made us
asking for a friend.
They made us kind of the people that have been there for a while. We're ones that know a little bit more than some of them, and we call it a blueprint team. And so we'll diagnose it, come in, get your estimates or parts ordered, and then it'll get dispatched to the shop and get fixed by whoever is the right person for it. We do fix cars still, but there's a few of us that don't. We just kind of look at them and diagnose them.
Man, I remember. I had no idea what was going on. I remember being in my early 20s, and when you're in your early 20s or when you're in your 20s and especially in your 30s too, you're learning all of that stuff that you didn't learn in high school, such as when you push the brakes and you hear the grinding sound of the, and it's not stopping like it used to. And it's that gut wrenching grinding. And you're like, what in the world is going on? You're like, yeah, I had no idea about brake pads. No, I don't know how somehow through my teenage years, brake pads just totally skipped me.
Just magically stopped?
It just magically stopped. It's not like a thing that ever wears out. It's going to work. It's always worked. It's going to work. It's going to work forever. And I never, ever thought about it until you really do think about it every time you hit the brakes. Here's a brake question for you, Josh. All right, so I got that Tundra, a year and a half ago or so. A brand new truck. and those brakes have always squeaked on my truck. Why do my brakes always squeak? My truck is a brand new truck. It's under warranty. Why does that happen?
The big problem is that, they wanted to start going to a maintenance-free vehicle pretty much. So before, the pads had a lot less metallic in them. So to increase the length and the longevity of pads, you have to put in more metal.
Okay.
So especially up here in humidity weather, you get a little bit of surface rust or anything like that, and you're putting metal on metal. What are you going to have? You're going to have a little bit of a squeak once in a while, sometimes worse.
Well, I think my truck got all metal in their pads.
Well,
just thinking, I mean,
they will last forever then.
Oh, so. They're going to last forever. I'm going to grind my hubs down.
Yeah. But that's the big problem is that they increased the thickness of them and they made them more semi-metallic. They do make some like different style pads, but they don't last for, the life isn't there on the
What's
pad.
better? So what's better? Like if you're doing a lot of towing, if you're constantly towing, Braden, maybe you can jump in on this too. If I'm towing, we'll say, 10,000 pounds in my truck. Okay. We haul logs around and other things. And so we're always over like 8,000 pounds when we haul something. All right. Is it better to have like those pads that have a lot of metal in them, or is it better to have the pads that are maybe a little softer and a little easier on the rotors? Is there a better or worse?
It'll be the semi-metallic ones because it'll dissipate the heat faster.
Okay.
That's the biggest problem is your heat. Like, you watch NASCAR and you see those
I
big
don't.
fires coming from, or glowing rotors.
I do see those.
Yeah. So that's what would happen, because you wouldn't stop as fast. You're stopping. So those softer ones will have to grab harder and they'll wear a lot more, especially if you're towing. So that's another reason, they beefed them up. And then you're starting to push, 20-inch tires is a normal now. And now some of the new ones have 24-inch. Well, so your rotor size you got to stop that. So,
I remember my wife got in my truck and this, we had just gotten it and she hadn't driven it before. She gets in it and it's the brakes squeak. I don't know. We have less than 1,000 miles on it or something at the time. And she gets in and the brakes are all squeaky and she stops and she's too afraid to go to the store. She just needed to go run down the store and get some milk or something. And she calls me up and they're like, honey, the brakes are squeaky and I'm not sure what to do. So, but yeah, it kind of freaked her out the first time. So, hey, let's go to the phone, 775-5559. If you have a call or a question or a comment for the guys here at Rydell, in the studio with me is Braden and Josh. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Josh, I got a question. I had my truck in for an oil change a couple of weeks ago. They told me there was no more grease fittings. Are all the grease zerts sealed? And can you guys put in new grease zerts if I want to get the bearings greased? I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Thanks for the call.
No, there is no packable bearings anymore. Everything is a sealed wheel bearing. If you would do more damage on that. We'd take the seal out and introduce water to it, and then the bearing would fail, like eventually. So, all the grease zerks. I'm trying to think now. The newer trucks now do not have grease zerks again. We talked about this before, but we've gone back and forth with grease zerks from General Motors, and they always say that the grease zerk is where the moisture gets into the joints and causes the failure. So then they go to a greaseless ball joint, tie rod, and then they're like, oh, no, that didn't work. So then we go back to a grease zerk. So as of right now, the newer trucks don't have grease zerks again.
Is that like across the board, or is that
for
model specific?
General Motors, it is.
Oh, for GM.
I don't think Honda's really ever had grease zerks on them, and Toyota's pretty rare too. So I mean, that they find out that having a sealed ball joint or tie rod like that will last longer than having one with a grease zerk. So there really isn't anything to grease anymore. And like I said, if we tried to pack a wheel bearing now, we would be breaking the sealed part of it off and no way to seal it back up because you can't seal grease.
All right. Braden, here's a question for you. Dexter writes in at 775-5559. Says, I just had tires rotated last week. On the receipt, it said to come back after I put 50 to 100 miles on the vehicle to get lug nuts retorqued. No one said to do this, just saw on receipt. Why? Have had rotations done on numerous cars over the years and never was told to come back and retorque.
Yeah, we put that on there. I believe the print says for aftermarket wheels. We like to do that to ensure we torque those to spec. But if you have the standard equipment that it comes with, no need for that.
So why would you do it? I mean, even if you had aftermarket wheels, why would you do that?
Well, so aftermarket wheels ride on the lug nuts, and almost every factory wheels will ride on the center of the hub. So if by chance they don't get torqued 100%, or when it's getting torqued, it's not sitting 100% centered on there, or some vibration, aftermarket wheels can start loosening the lug nuts, actually. So when they're hub centric, the hub will center it, the lug nuts will keep it tight on there. So,
all right. Yeah. So, all right. So I actually called Rydell on the way here because I needed you guys to pick up my car and get an oil change on it. So when I brought it over to, I don't know, Pennzoil or something, whatever place I could get to there in Louisiana, right? They put on there, come back at 43,000 miles. But when I first bought my vehicle, they wouldn't even change the oil until I hit 10,000 miles. So if you're using full synthetic oil, should you change your oil every 10,000 miles, 5,000, 7,000, 1,000? What's the recommendation now?
Yeah, well, one thing, I'll let Josh kind of pick up on that, but as far as your truck, you have a Toyota, right?
Well, this was on my Honda Accord.
Oh, yeah. Some different manufacturers go tire rotations at the 5,000 mile service interval, and some and then 10,000.
But talking about the oil change.
Okay, so
well, the book is going to tell you one thing to go off your oil life monitor, which almost everything has nowadays. Personal recommendation, I wouldn't go more than 5,000 miles. 5 to 6. I mean, you're driving highway up in here, so you like that 5 to 6 range. But if you're driving all in town, that oil is going to get used. It's going to get hotter, and not get hot. It's not going to burn the moisture off. It's going to get diluted. So chances are, and everything's oil fed now. That feeds your camshafts, your timing, everything like that. So oil is a crucial part, and like I said, you want to get it warm and burn moisture off. And a lot of times, these little 4-cylinder motors and stuff, they don't get very hot anymore. So they don't burn a lot of moisture, and it starts to dilute.
And it is a hybrid. I don't know if that makes a difference for you, but it is a hybrid.
Well, hybrids, yes, they do go the 10,000 then. Yes.
Okay. So here's a different question for you then. So we put a lot of interstate miles on our car. So it means that we're not actually using the hybrid system as much as if we lived in town and we were, driving around Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, or even downtown Grand Forks, right? So does that push it that maybe, if you have a newer hybrid vehicle and you're using full synthetic, maybe instead of going the full 10, maybe you kind of back it down to 7,500 miles?
Yeah, I would definitely. That should have an oil life monitor, and that takes it into effect. Is it perfect? The manufacturer says it is, yes. But General Motors kind of got rid of that hybrid a while ago that we had, and that was their oil life monitor was, I believe it was 7,500 miles or 1 year. It would say change oil now.
Okay.
But it also took into fact how much the engine ran, or idle time with the engine, RPMs on the engine, stuff like that. So it's a big formula that I don't know who wrote, and I'd like to be the guy that did, so I could be that rich. But
maybe. All right, 775-5559. Texter writes in and says, the torque specs on my Honda Fit are only 80 pounds torque. If I don't torque them every 500 or so miles, I'll lose lug nuts. If I over-torque them, I'll lose lug studs. So would you rather lose your nuts or your studs?
I guess as long as the wheel's staying on, that's the biggest thing, right?
All right, so you're keeping your wheels on.
A lot cheaper than, replacing a wheel, and then you could lead to further damage, to be honest. A wheel comes off here on the interstate. You could be looking at collision damage as well.
So usually the problem with that is, we used to have cars like Metros, and that used to be 80 foot-pounds. So the problem is if someone over-torqued them, what you're actually doing is stretching the threads on that wheel stud. So now, every time you go to torque it again, is it 100% at that 80? It might say 80 then, and then go drive, and it's like, well, it starts to go. So if you have an 80 foot-pound wheel stud, lug nut holding the wheel on, and you torque it always at 80, it's going to hold.
Is there ever a situation, like we'll say if something got over-torqued and your threads are now bent out, is there ever a situation that you would want to use Loctite on your studs?
If you don't like the next guy to take them off. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, let's go ahead and take our commercial break at that. I'm Aaron McWilliams, and coming back, we'll take some more calls and questions from Braden and Josh from Rydell.
Talk radio means you talk to us and with us. Your calls matter.
Your calls matter.
News Radio 1310 KNOX and 107.9 FM.
Flowers are growing in April, and so are your chances to win. Join us for the Spring Showdown SUV giveaway at Shooting Star Casino. Sundays in April. Be here for hourly cash drawings up to $3,500. Then, don't miss the grand prize SUV giveaway on April 26th. Earn entries now, plus double entries on Tuesdays and Thursdays. See promo details at starcasino.com or on the Shooting Star app.
Listen to 1310 KNOX every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for Rydell Car Talk with the Rydell experts on KNOX Afternoons with Mark Ewins. You can call or text in with any car question you have. Rydell Car Talk on KNOX Afternoons with Mark Ewins every Tuesday at 3.
If you're looking for digital order takers, that's not us. At Leighton Engage, we work directly with businesses to build real marketing strategies, rooted in goals, guided by data, and backed by proven digital tactics. We align your message, your creative, and your campaigns so everything works together. Because marketing shouldn't be random, it should be strategic. When you're ready to stop dabbling and start building a smarter marketing plan, contact us at LeightonEngage.com.
Leighton Engage. Find your focus.
If you're building a home, shop, or commercial space around Grand Forks, don't leave your HVAC up to chance. This is Matt with True Comfort Heating and Cooling. Around here, your system has to handle everything. Cold winters, hot summers, and anything in between. We design and install systems built for our area. No overcomplicating it, no overselling. Just solid, reliable work. We offer 0% financing and free estimates. Visit TrueComfortHeatingAndCooling.com today. True Comfort Heating and Cooling, we are your local 5-star HVAC experts.
What can you do to make this year's soybean crop your best one yet? I'm Darren Hefty with Hefty Seed Company. A complete soybean crop protection strategy starts with a weed-free field made possible with the 3-Pre program. Then protect your seed with Hefty Complete. Finally, be sure to follow up after planting with multiple fungicide modes of action. With the foundation of a clean field, the protection of Hefty Complete, and the prevention of in-season diseases, there's no reason this year can't be your best soybean crop ever. Talk to your local Hefty agronomist today.
By now you have heard me talk about how great of a job we do on diesel trucks. Hello, Caleb with Driscoll's Auto Service. For the last year, the response has been amazing with new customers trusting us to work on their Ford, Chevy, and Dodge diesels. No matter what the issue with your truck, when you bring it to Driscoll's Auto Service, I will personally be working on it. I take great pride in fixing things like gel-ups, electrical, overhauls, emission problems, and injectors. So if you're having problems with your diesel, bring it to Driscoll's Auto Service, your treating you right mechanic in East Grand Forks.
Looking for the perfect Mother's Day gift? Make it simple and delicious with the Olive Barrel. This week's Forks Deals feature, from gourmet olive oils to unique flavor pairing, it's a gift mom will actually use and love. Right now, you can score discounted gift certificates at forksdeals.com, but only for a limited time. Skip the stress and give something thoughtful, tasteful, and a little unexpected this year with the Olive Barrel.
Online and on the go at forksdeals.com.
afternoon. This is Aaron McWilliams. In the studio with me is Braden and Josh from Rydell. Braden's from the lube service.
Yep, the quick lube.
The quick lube service. You see, I was going to get my way around there. We were going to get to it. Hey, we've got some questions for you that's been texted in at 775-5559. Says, all right, what's recommended for an oil change on a brand new car? I heard it's less than normal mileage for the first oil change. That's a good question, because when I bought my car, I went to get it changed, and then they said I'd have to wait till 10,000 miles. So, what is it? Get it changed sooner? Get it changed later? Don't get it changed ever? I would just go with don't ever change it. Is that where we're at now? It's gotten so amazing.
No, we put in a sticker, 6 months, 6,000 miles. That's, I mean, you try to read that owner's manual of when you should change it, and it's pretty confusing.
It is. Well, and then there's some manufacturers that allow you to, that give you like the free oil change for 2 years. I think Toyota's that way. But then Honda, on my Honda, they wouldn't change it until it hit 10,000 miles. And I felt like a neglectful new vehicle owner by waiting 10,000 miles to get it done. And they said, yeah, no. So, that's what they said. Anyway, all right. Texter writes in and says, my dealership that sold me my 25 model year told me to use computer in vehicle when it was below 15%, then change oil. I've heard that too.
Can you repeat that? You said.
All right. So Texter writes in
the oil life monitor.
The oil life, that when the oil life monitor in the vehicle shows below 15%, then we should change the oil.
I guess it's not a bad thing, right? I don't know. Like Josh said, there's a certain algorithm which is idle time, engine hours, and such, and mileage and time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not necessarily a terrible idea to change your oil getting that low.
Oil's a cheap part of a vehicle, so
yeah,
definitely.
So kind of like voting, vote early, vote often.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Many times as you can. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
All right. 775-5559. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi. My husband says there's no way he's going 6,000 miles without an oil change. He said that is ludicrous. 6,000 miles and no oil change.
Yeah. Well, they changed the oil. Almost everything is running a pretty well full synthetic oil now. So it is supposed to go longer. It's personal choice. I mean, personally, I don't either, but that's what the factory recommends. Actually, they recommend almost 7,500 miles. So
see, I hit it. I said 7,500 miles. You had an opportunity to back me up on that. Well, now you see. Now that's going to be my new thing. Now it's going to be 7,500 miles. That's what it's at. But I grew up. But I mean, if you grow up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, I always heard like 3,500 miles. Like my dad was out there. It felt like my dad was out there every weekend with an oil pan underneath the car, changing out this oil. Because we would travel, we'd go out to Florida and stuff, and we'd go out to Arkansas. I grew up in the South, and so it felt like my dad was under that vehicle like every single weekend, which isn't the case, but that's what it felt like. I can tell you how many times my dad said, "I got to go change the oil," and I was like, "Didn't you do it last weekend?"
So about 2010, when they started coming out with this semi-synthetic and synthetic, more from General Motors, this Dexos oil and stuff like that, we were 3 months, 3,000 miles on oil changes.
All right.
And then they started this oil life monitor, and then they had some problems. So they programmed it, and 7,500 is the longest it'll go for an oil change. So that is where it's set, and that's when it'll say 0.
Oh, okay.
If you're doing the most perfect driving at all.
Interesting. All right. Texter writes in and says, should you change from full synthetic to high mileage oil once you get to a certain mileage, say 75,000 to 100,000 miles?
No, it's all the same. I mean, well, I don't know. Is it going to do better? It probably has some more zinc in it to help with heat, the higher mileage stuff. I'm no chemist, but I mean, I drive high mileage vehicles. I use the same oil all the time.
All right. Texter writes in and says, respectfully, at $60,000 for a garden variety Chevy Silverado, why are the transmissions garbage so early? And why is it so expensive to flush the fluid, change the filter, and replace the gaskets? Why can't you access it from the top? So now, Braden, you were telling me during the break that you personally designed that vehicle from the ground up. And was it right that you had your hand in actually engineering the transmission and the whole thing? You oversaw that project, while you were in high school. I remember that. You were telling me that. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
That's not? Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, Braden, you were the guy that figured out why you couldn't access it from the top, why it was better to do it from the bottom. I thought that was your handiwork.
So the biggest problem why there's nothing up top is there is no room to put a dipstick.
It all comes down to the dipstick.
Yep.
It's amazing how many things in life just come down to the stupid dipstick. All right. You guys, thank you so much for coming on the air with us. We've got KNOX Newsroom coming up right now.
From Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Family Realty Newsroom, this is KNOX News.
Today, lots of sun, a high of 70. Tonight, mostly clear and a low of 47. Your full KNOX 5-day forecast follows the news. Good afternoon. Here are your latest stories. Babcock Hall on the University of North Dakota campus is the latest building slated to have a date with the wrecking ball. The Budget and Finance Committee of the North Dakota Board of Higher Education will review plans and specs for demolishing the former home of Engineering and Mines and Chemistry at a meeting on Tuesday. Constructed in 1907, the building has been vacant since 2017. Residents in Findlay are under a do-not-use advisory for municipal water. Officials with the Trail Steel Emergency Management say a break was discovered in a water supply line that caused some contaminants to get into the water system. Officials say the community is pulling together and water distribution events have been scheduled. Mayville State has also announced they are opening its locker room showers to the public. A Sunday fire destroyed a northwest Minnesota home. The Ottertail County Sheriff's Office was notified of a deck fire just before noon at a residence northwest of Battle Lake on County Highway 83. When fire crews arrived on scene, the blaze had spread to the main home. Authorities say all occupants, including 2 adults and 6 younger children, escaped unharmed. More news anytime on KNOXradio.com. I'm Jake Judd, KNOX News.
Thank you, Jake. Our next update from the KNOX Newsroom will be at 4:02. News at the top, the bottom, and when it breaks on News Radio 1310 KNOX 103.3, 107.9, and on the KNOX app. Currently 66 degrees outside the studio today. Lots of sun today, a mild high of 70 degrees. Hallelujah. We actually we're in the 60s, guys. We made it. We made it past winter. We have actually made it past winter. That's just fantastic. I'm thrilled. Variable winds today to 12. On Tuesday, mostly clear with a low of 47. South winds to 18. Tomorrow, filtered sun, a breezy high of 82 degrees. Can you believe it? We actually have 82 degrees in April. It's still April. On Thursday, a few storms and a windy high of 73. Friday, partly sunny with a high of 49. On Saturday, a shower is in the forecast with a high of 51. Watch out, though, on Thursday, we might have a couple of storms. Mark Ewan's forecast throughout the day and severe weather information first brought to you by Steamatic. Trust your certified water damage cleanup experts, available 24 hours a day for all of your emergency needs. Call Steamatic. The crew in blue is here for you. Call Steamatic today at 746-1856. That's 746-1856. So after lunch today, I sat down with some good old-fashioned AI, and I wanted to figure out, why is it that we are working, that it feels like we're working really hard, but yet we're making less. So I pulled up a whole string of statistics ranging from GDP growth in Grand Forks, the Grand Forks budget, inflation rate, average rental prices from 2020 to 2025, average wage, typical home value. I pulled up all of these things. Okay? And here's the overwhelming statistic that caught my eye. All right, inflation in the Midwest region from 2020 to today, things overall have gone up in price by 26.1%. I'm going to give you a second just to keep that in mind. 26.1%. Things have gone up. Over 26%. The cost of everything, or most things, however they figure it out, has gone up 26%. Now, according to whatever resource this comes from, because we always like really vague stuff, right? Where was it? Average income in Grand Forks. In that same time period, where inflation went up 26.1%, do you know how much the average income went up at that same time? Well, you guessed it. It's not 26.1%. Average income actually only went up by 19.5%. That means that today you are making 6.6% less than you were, we'll say, 5 to 6 years ago. So if you feel like you're working the same amount and ending up with less at the end of the month, you're right, because you are. And when I started pulling up some of these things, all of a sudden, a couple of these things started making more sense. When you start putting these numbers into perspective. But here's something interesting, and I know somebody who knows a lot more about the Grand Forks budget can call in and correct me. I hope that you correct me, because I hope that that this AI thing that I use that pulled some information from the Grand Forks Herald, that's where these sources come from, is just dead wrong. And I'm looking at this wrong. Have you ever looked at a statistic and you do some research and you figure out, you know what? I hope that what I am seeing is wrong. I hope that what I am seeing is not reflective of reality, because I don't like the reality that I'm observing. But here it is. Okay? Here it is. Okay? Grand Forks budget from 2020 to 2022 was $200 million and $225 million. Okay, you can take that number. Now, the Grand Forks budget in 2025 was $299 million. Now, if you want to do the math, I've already done it for you. That means that the Grand Forks budget actually grew by over 33% in the same period of time. So inflation grew. So let's just recap. Inflation grew by over 26%. Your income grew by 19.5%. And the Grand Forks budget grew by 33.12%. Now, I want somebody to please call in and help me out, help me realize that the numbers that I pulled aren't actually reflective of reality, because I would be thrilled by that. 775-5559. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Aaron. Say, do you know this guy? His name is Shamar Elkins from Shreveport, Louisiana, your home state. So he shot and killed 8 kids.
And now for something completely different. Thanks for the call. So we're not going to go there. We're going to stay on this topic. But that's just it. It's really frustrating to me. I remember being in the North Dakota legislature, and I would always sit there with a budget, and I'd figure out these are the services we are offering. This is the inflation rate. The inflation grew by 2.3, 2.5%. The budget grew by 2.5%. Okay, I can take that. That seems like a yes vote to me. But it stands out to me when the Grand Forks budget outpaced inflation by 7% over 5 years. Outpaced inflation by 7%. Now, okay, so if the argument then If the argument then is, yeah, but we're making more money, we're taking in more money, the GDP grew. I did that calculation too, because that's how I think as well, and because I want to put things in perspective. Okay, the GDP growth only grew by 7%. GDP grew from 2020 to this time frame was 2020 to 2024. I didn't have no, I have that. That number is there. All right, 2020 to 2025 only grew by 7%. I'm making sure that I've got my numbers right here. Okay, nope. So in 2020, we had $4.29 billion of GDP. Then that grew to $5.9 billion in 2024. Okay, I was misreading the statistic there. But still, it grew by 7%, while everything else outpaced that. So the government is spending more money now, even with inflation, calculated inflation, than what it actually took in previously. 775-5559. That's 775-5559. Here's a couple of texts. So right on cue. So this is kind of funny. I was reading this off and I was going through this. I'm kind of glancing at my text message screen, and so first I get this text that says "Cue the Trump haters," and then right on cue. Okay. Right on cue, I get the Trump haters with a nice long tirade of, and I'll quote, "So, businesses raised their prices to offset the tariffs. We, the consumers, paid all the higher prices because the tariffs were considered unconstitutional to begin with. Like most reasonable people knew, they are now being reimbursed across the country, but only to companies that have already gouged the public for them. It seems to me the refund should go directly to the American consumer, not to the companies." And then a couple of other Trump hates. So, except what we're actually talking about are the Biden eras. Oops. Yeah, that happened. I mean, I can rework the math for you and just go up to 2024, if you want to do that. But that actually is the Biden economy. That's reflective of the Biden economy. That's not actually reflective of the Trump economy and the tariffs that came in on, say, a year and a couple of months ago. Actually, just a year ago. That's just over the last year, which wasn't even included in all of the statistics I just gave you. 775-5559. Texter writes in and says, "I believe Grand Forks is totally mismanaged." So I guess the question then becomes, was Grand Forks mismanaged previously? And so we're actually coming into a better management now where we're spending more, and we'll use the giant air quotes of investing more in our community. Or are we just spending too much money? 775-5559. What do you think? How are you feeling out there? Do you feel like you are making 6% less at the end of your monthly budget? You get to the end of your month, you paid all your bills, and like, whew, I made it again. Or were you on that line that you weren't actually making, you were right on that line 5 years ago? Things didn't really change that much for you, and now you're underwater by 6% or more. 775-5559. More to come right after the break.
Your voice and your issues every day. It's what we do every day. KNOX, KNOX-FM, and KNOXradio.com.
North Dakota is not like anywhere else. It's a place that is rooted in tradition and always looking to the future. The North Dakota oil and natural gas industry is North Dakota, where the work we do provides 63,000 good-paying jobs and billions in tax dollars to help fund our schools and future. It's a commitment to North Dakota and everyone who calls it home. North Dakota Petroleum Foundation, advancing the possibilities.
West Metro Buick GMC in Monticello, Minnesota's #1 rated and #1 volume Buick GMC dealership for 5 straight years. They got there by being fair, transparent, and by having the kind of inventory other dealerships only talk about. Over 700 vehicles on the lot, trucks, SUVs, and pre-owned row after row. It's why people don't just shop West Metro, they end up there. Straight answers, real deals, and if you don't want to make the drive, they'll deliver right to you. WestMetroAuto.com. Scroll the inventory, read the reviews, then decide why more buyers choose West Metro Buick GMC.
Don't miss the 80th annual Kemp Shrine Circus this weekend at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Showtimes are 3 and 7 on Friday, 11, 3 and 7 on Saturday, and 1 and 5 on Sunday. Camels, zebras, clowns, daring acrobats, the double wheel of destiny, and Nellie the elephant are sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. The 80th annual Kemp Shrine Circus Spectacular this Friday through Sunday at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Kids through 8th grade receive free tickets at school and are available at the door. Compliments of area businesses. Adult tickets available at the door, and preschool children are free.
Rust, salt, and time are the biggest enemies for a fuel tank. Well, never fear, because Grand Forks Welding is here to take care of your enemies for you. Hello, this is Thomas with Grand Forks Welding, and don't fight with rusted out fuel tanks or bands. At Grand Forks Welding, we not only fix or patch your tanks, but we can custom fabricate any kind of replacement fuel tanks or service unit. Need a specific dimension, tank capacity, or even want a diamond plate custom show-stopping fuel tank? We can build it. Go to GrandForksWelding.com.
Grand Forks Welding, men of steel.
If you take pride in working with your hands and value craftsmanship, American Woods in Grand Forks is hiring. We build high-end, modern furniture, and our milling department is growing. Have experience in woodworking, machine operation, or manufacturing? You'll fit right in. No micromanaging, just real ownership and pride in what you build. With full benefits, 401k, weekly pay, and no weekend shifts. Apply today at AmericanWoods.com. American Woods, we've got the grit to get the job done.
Veterans, your mental health is important for your overall well-being. In an acute suicidal crisis, there is help. The Compact Act allows any eligible veteran, whether enrolled in the VA healthcare system or not, to go immediately to a VA or non-VA healthcare facility for suicidal crisis care. The VA may cover costs for treatment, transportation, outpatient, and inpatient care. If you're in crisis right now, call 988 and press 1. For general questions, contact a county veteran service officer or the VA.
The top plays from football, boys and girls hockey, basketball, and volleyball all in one place with the KNOX Honors, brought to you by PS Garage Doors. Find more details on KNOX Facebook page and Instagram. Today, the PS stands for proud sponsor for all local high school sports.
All right, so inflation went up by a whole lot, but your budget, or rather your income, didn't really keep up, did it? Texter writes in at 775-5559. This is a texter I generally don't agree with, but I am forced to. He says, both Trump and Biden poured money into the economy. What do you think was going to be the result of all of that stimulus payout? No inflation? Really? No, I agree. I completely agree. And I've said for a long time, there's things that Trump did that I absolutely did not like. And we'll say that's proof positive. If you want to say Aaron's a Trump lover, Aaron's a MAGA-loving idiot, or whatever you want to call me, I don't care. But there are always things I don't like about somebody. And the moment Donald Trump started pouring billions of dollars, or trillions of dollars into the economy, that's not good. That's not good. I mean, we had all the pandemic, plandemic, whatever you want to call it, and we poured trillions of dollars into the economy. Yeah, that's what causes inflation. That texture is 100% right. And both Trump started it, and then Biden finished it. But if you actually want to look at the numbers, Trump did more of that than what Biden did. Love it or hate it, love Trump or hate Trump, Trump did more of that inflationary spending than Biden did. Biden didn't help. But a lot of the impact, a lot of it ended up, having the inflation that we had because Trump poured in trillions of dollars in stimulus payments because we ended up shutting down the economy. And now we're feeling it. We are absolutely feeling it. You're making, the statistics show for Grand Forks currently show that you are making 6%, over 6%, 6.6% less than you were, say, 5 and 6 years ago. That's what it shows. But it also shows that Grand Forks, that the city of Grand Forks grew its budget, outpaced its budget by inflation, outpaced the budget by 7%. Now, is that responsible spending? Was that catch-up spending? Was that returning government spending to a rate that it should have been previously? Or is it simply the growth of government and you're not seeing anything for your money? 775-5559. That's 775-5559. Love to hear from you. Texter writes in and says, exactly what happens when you idolize, quote, the job creators. All forms of government apply crony capitalism to interfere with a free market. The comfort of the wealthy is dependent on abundance of the poor and working class. There's a lot of philosophical errors in that statement. However, there is the grain of truth that I'll simply hold on to for you is that, yes, when the government does pick winners and losers, as they did, and they deemed some businesses, essential and others not, yes, I would have to completely agree that is the effect, that is, in fact, crony capitalism. That is where I can actually say, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that texter. 775-5559, the texter writes in and says, I received a 1% raise on my property taxes went up by 7%. Who is going to help me pay for all those tax hikes? No one. Now, this is what Grand Forks will actually say to you. Where is it at? I'm looking at this here. Is that, okay, Grand Forks, historical terrain, Grand Forks has implemented 5 consecutive years of mill levy reductions leading up to 2025. So what the city of Grand Forks tells you is that we've actually reduced your property taxes. Now, is that the effect of reducing your property taxes? No. But they can feel good at night saying we've actually reduced it. So now, if you know me at all, you know that I tend to try and look at all of the different angles. So I pulled those statistics up too. Typical home values have risen. Let me see. Where was that? I'm looking through it. Here we go. Home prices went up. Here we go. Buckle up. Listen up. Do you know how much home prices have risen from 2020 till current? Till March of this year. Okay. How much do you think home prices have gone up? Just in your mind. Are you thinking 10%? 20%? Would you believe that according to Zillow, average home prices have gone up over 30%? Over 30%. So while Grand Forks is sitting there and saying, we've reduced your property taxes for 5 years in a row, meanwhile, home prices have risen by 30%, and they're saying, we're taxing you on less of the value. That doesn't outpace. That does not even keep it level at all. So, where's your money going? Take a look at the numbers. I'm Aaron McWilliams. More to come right after this.
Your information station and the blowtorch of the North. Technically, we're not allowed to have one of those, but we operate it anyway and nobody shut us down. So there you have it. News Radio 1310, KNOX.
I'm Staff Sergeant Griffin, Army retired. Wherever I'm at in North Dakota, 988 is here. For me, my friends, family, or my soldiers. Whether I'm in crisis or just need someone to talk to. When the world feels like it doesn't fit, they listen to what I'm going through and they don't share my information with anyone. 988 is ready to help. Call, text, or chat online.
This ad is sponsored by the ND Cares Coalition and NDHHS and aired in cooperation with the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Les Schwab Tire Center is giving back, and you can help. They're hosting a diaper drive with St. Joseph's Social Care to support local families in need. Drop off unopened packages of diapers, wipes, or pull-ups at Les Schwab, and they'll give you $25 off your next visit. The goal, 20,000 diapers by April 30th. Every diaper counts. Stop by Les Schwab at 32nd Avenue South near Menards. Let's make a difference together. Limited time offer while supplies last. Limit 1 coupon per person. Coupon only valid for Grand Forks location.
Your business has changed. Has your office space kept up? At Norby's Work Perks, evolution is what we do. What started as an office supply store has grown into full-scale workspace solutions, from office remodeling and space planning to ergonomic furniture. We help businesses create spaces that support productivity, strengthen culture, and aid recruitment and retention. If your space no longer fits your team, it may be time for a refresh. Start your office remodel with Norby's Work Perks, downtown at 11 South 4th Street or online at norbys.com.
Prices for everything seem to be going up. This is Dr. Kevin Fire. We have heard from our suppliers that they will be increasing the prices we pay for our products by 5 to 15%. But at Fire Audiology and Hearing Center, we will not be increasing our prices to you. When you compare our prices to state, regional, or national averages, our prices are consistently lower. And we have been selected the best hearing aid center in the region 6 years in a row. More than ever, the best does not have to cost you more. Call us today at 787-5862 or visit our website at hearingnd.com.
Anglers, get ready to cast your lines. J&K Marine and Power Sports proudly presents the 21st Annual Real Country Classic Fishing Tournament, May 15th and 16th on beautiful Otter Tail Lake. With over $25,000 in cash and prizes, this is the fishing event of the year. The grand prize includes $5,000 each day for first place, plus exciting contests for biggest northern and biggest walleye. 24th place walks away with a Garmin Live Scope, valued at $1,700. Register now by visiting lakesarearadio.net or simply text FISH to 218-847-2001. The 21st Annual Real Country Classic, May 15th and 16th on Otter Tail Lake. Brought to you in part by
CI Sports, Brush Marks, Cars Tree Service, Beach Bums, and the Corner Store. The 21st Annual Real Country Classic, brought to you by J&K Marine and Power Sports, May 15th and 16th on Otter Tail Lake.
West Metro Buick GMC in Monticello, Minnesota's #1 rated and #1 volume Buick GMC dealership for 5 straight years. They got there by being fair, transparent, and by having the kind of inventory other dealerships only talk about. Over 700 vehicles on the lot, trucks, SUVs, and pre-owned, row after row. It's why people don't just shop West Metro, they end up there. Straight answers, real deals, and if you don't want to make the drive, they'll deliver right to you. WestMetroAuto.com. Scroll the inventory, read the reviews, then decide why more buyers choose West Metro Buick GMC.
Don't miss the 80th Annual Kemp Shrine Circus this weekend at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Showtimes are 3 and 7 on Friday, 11, 3 and 7 on Saturday, and 1 and 5 on Sunday. Camels, zebras, clowns, daring acrobats, the Double Wheel of Destiny, and Nellie the Elephant are sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. The 80th Annual Kemp Shrine Circus Spectacular this Friday through Sunday at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Kids through 8th grade receive free tickets at school and are available at the door. Compliments of area businesses. Adult tickets available at the door, and preschool children are free.
Grand Forks, I have found your money. I think I found it. I found where your tax dollars were going. Because apparently the Grand Forks budget has grown quite a lot. Grand Forks budget grew by 7% over inflation. So inflation, total inflation in the Midwest region from 2020 to 2025 was over 26%. Grand Forks budget grew by over 30%. Grew by 33.12%. In 5 years, that budget grew by over 33% in 5 years. Are you making more than 30% now? I'm not making more than 30%. You know, I look at those kind of things and because sometimes it's a little mystifying. It's a little mystifying when you're working hard, you're paying your bills, and you feel like you're doing good, you got a raise, you did a couple of things around the house, but you're like, good grief, why am I still struggling? I paid this off, I paid this bill off, I paid that bill off, but I'm still struggling at the end of every month. It just feels like you should have more money in your account. And I agree. You should. Because while inflation went up by 26%, wages grew by 19.5%. You are currently underwater by more than 6%. 6.6%. That's why you're struggling. More to come. ABC News coming up next.
News Radio 1310 KNOX AM Grand Forks, 107.9 and 103.3 KNOX FM. Translated on K239BG in Grand Forks and K277DN.